Hello everyone, this is Princess here, and for today's video we're going to talk about the next character that is coming to Opera Omnia. So for those who do not know, this is Kelger. He is from Final Fantasy V, and he's one of the Dawn Warriors that fought with Galuf and Dorgan to take on Exdeath. So yes, he is another NPC character, but he's actually a pretty fun NPC. So we're going to go over his whole kit, and then I'm going to talk about his Shinryu, and then just show off what he does in JP. So let's get started. So a little bit about Kelger is that he is a red crystal character that uses swords. He can evade attacks, he has counters, and he can also attack before an enemy's turn and then lower their brave. So for his first skill, we have Impact Cut, which is a 2-hit brave HP attack that is dealt 8 times and will grant him Final Will of the Dawn for 6 turns. And what this buff does is it will trigger First Strike before any enemy turn. It allows his buff-triggered follow-ups to be upgraded, and it raises his attack and his max brave. And then for First Strike itself, so it lowers a target's brave by 400% of Kelger's attack, and then raises brave by 400% of his own attack. It has a 150% gained max brave overflow, and it deals splash damage. And then if we look over here where his 15 CP is, if you MLB this, it will raise the brave damage and extends his buff, Final Will of the Dawn. So then his second skill is called Tri-Element. It will also grant him Final Will of the Dawn for 6 turns. It is a 3-hit AoE Brave split HP attack that is dealt 4 times and has a 180% Stolen Brave overflow. It also raises Brave by 50% of HP damage dealt after each attack. And if you get his 35 CP and then limit break this, it will also raise Brave damage and extend his buff. So then going to his calls, so when you call him in, he's going to use Tri-Element, which will raise the caller's attack and max Brave. And then if you call him in for his LD call, which is Requiem Slash, this will raise Brave damage, HP damage, Stolen Brave, and then Brave gains as well. And then for his C65, it is Protect All. So for 5 turns, he will raise the party's HP damage resist and the party's attack and Brave damage cap. So moving on to his armor, we have Kelger's Mantle, which will raise max Brave by 220 and then his attack by 72. Then his 90 CP armor is Kelger's Shield. This will raise his HP by 680 and his defense by 84. And then when you realize it, it will raise his initial Brave by 110 and his max Brave by 220. And lastly, we have his high armor, which is basically Kelger's armor. This will raise Brave damage cap and then max Brave cap by 15%. Okay, so moving on to his artifacts and his spears. So for artifacts, you want to give him attack, max Brave, and C50. Which is Lord of the Werewolves up. And what this does is it raises his attack and max brave by 5% when he has Final Will of the Dawn active. And then for his spear, so it's a B spear called Evasion Boost Up Longer, and this will raise his max brave by 10% for 6 turns whenever he evades an attack. He does have an RF as well, I just don't remember when this came out, but it raises his max brave by 4% instead. Okay, so then for his EX weapon, so it is the Death Sickle, and this will grant the skill Wolf's Gale. It's a 4-hit AoE Brave split HP attack that is dealt 6 times and has a 200% Stolen Brave overflow. It also raises Brave based on damage dealt and will grant him the Swift Wolf buff for 6 turns. And what Swift Wolf does is it will grant him 100% evasion, so he's just going to evade all attacks unless they're guaranteed. He will draw the target of all enemies. It raises his attack, his max Brave, his stolen and gain Brave overflow, and his HP damage. And then when you limit break this at 2 out of 3, he will start the quest with Final Will of the Dawn and Swift Wolf for 4 turns. And then for his LD weapon, it is the Kikuichi Manji, which will grant him the skill Requiem Slash. It is a 4-hit AoE Brave full HP attack that is dealt 5 times. It has a 150% Stolen Brave overflow, raises Brave based on 20% damage dealt, and will grant him a free skill use afterwards. And this will also grant him the overhead effect Werewolf Pride for 12 turns. It's normally like 6 or something, but when you MLB it, it's going to be 12. And then what Werewolf's Pride does is whenever Kelger evades an attack, he will counter with Shadow Wolf. It also allows counter skills to be upgraded as well. It raises his Brave damage, HP damage, Stolen Brave, and then his Brave gains, and also changes his Brave and HP attack. And then for the counter itself, so Shadow Wolf will raise Brave based on his attack, and then he does a 6-hit Brave HP attack that is dealt 3 times. It has a 150% Stolen Brave overflow, it deals splash damage, and it raises Brave based on damage dealt after each HP attack. So then we have his force weapon, which is Kelger's Blade. This will grant him the force time, which is called Swallow Smash, and his force partner is Jekt. So it's a 6-hit AoE Brave split HP attack that is dealt 4 times, and what's pretty interesting about this is that it will lower Kelger's turn rate by 50%, but also raises the party's HP damage and their max Brave cap by 20%. So then if we look at the bonuses here, so it's 5% when a party member uses melee attacks, which includes off turns, 50% whenever Kelger evades, which is once per turn, and then 5% when Kelger uses a melee skill, which does also include off turns. So that's pretty interesting, and the 50% from evading, it is in a way like Rydia's, except with Rydia's force time, it's 50% if anyone evades an attack, whereas with Kelger, it's just when he evades an attack. So a little more like selfish for him. Finally, we have his burst weapon, which is the Chieftain's Sword, and this will grant him the finishing burst Lupine attack. It's a 10-hit AoE Brave split HP attack that is dealt twice, and his burst effect is 6 turns. And what this will do is it will trigger First Strike again, so when he has his effect up, he's going to trigger First Strike 2 times. It also raises Brave damage cap, HP damage, and then max Brave cap. Okay, so now for the boss, we have just a repeat of an enemy from before, which is the Evil Gaze. These things first appeared in like way back in Trey's Lost chapter. You're going to be fighting 2 of these things, and they pretty much have the same attacks as before. And I do also want to note that Kelger Shinryu did appear in the Crystal Quest, so there's a chance it could come back again for Global. So for its gauge, it will go up by 4% whenever you act, and then at 20%, 50%, and then around like 70 or 80%, it will use Cut in turn order. And it will use Ram the first time, where it like raises Brave and then does like an HP attack. And then it will just use Eroga. So you can easily bypass this with like using a freeze call like Setzer or Cater, having someone like Warrior of Light or Raijin, and you just don't have to worry about it at all. Or just have Iris's burst effect active as well. So then when their force gauge is full, they will use Black Candela, which will randomly attack anyone, and they do gain Brave and then do an HP attack, so again, that can kill, so you gotta be careful. And then for their force time, they will lower Brave damage by 90% and then use Helical Dive Plus, which is dealt twice, and they will just ignore reductions. And if you want to cancel their force time, you just have to use a melee Brave damage force. So practically anyone can fill this out. We have a lot of options. You know, you got Barth, you got Leo, you got Tifa, Reno, Weiss, you got Seven, or Queen who just came out. So with all that being said, I'm now going to head over to JP and I'm going to showcase Kelger. So I will be right back. Alright, so we're back on JP now. So this is the entirety of Kelger's Lost chapter. So you're going to start around over here and then make your way over here to the end. So we're going to go over to the Lufenia first. So here's my Kelger over here. I got really lucky with this kid, but I don't really plan on using him at all just because I had like other DPS options. So yeah, he's just kind of been chilling there. But yeah, I'm just gonna jump into the Lufenia when it's his turn, and I will show you his skill set. Fight started. Let's use Furious Blades first with Machina over here, because this enemy B is about to go first. Okay, never mind. Machina's gonna turn jump. Jeez. Okay, so that was first strike right there. Okay, so looking at Kelger, so if we look at his skills, so he's got Final Will of the Dawn and Swift Wolf up for 4 turns. So I'm just going to go directly into burst phase with him, just to like show off the rest of his skills. Okay, so we're going to start with his S1, which is Impact Cut. Okay, so now we're going to use Tri-Element. Alright, so now we're going to use this EX, which was Wolf's Gale. Okay, so now we're going to use his LD. So this is, as soon as I can pull up the name for it, Requiem Slash. Here we go. That orb is bugging out. I don't know if y'all can see that. kind of like that wolf how he does too. That was pretty cool. Alright, and now here is Swallow Smash. I think that's what it was called, yeah. I'm not sure why his force partner is Jekt either, but I guess it's okay. So yeah, that was pretty cool. Jekt just like lifts a rock up, and then Kelger just smashes it onto the enemies. Alright, so here is Lupine Attack. Alright, so that was the rest of his skills, and then I'm probably just going to cut a little further ahead to when it's his turn, just so I can show off his like burst effect. So Machina is just about to... Actually, you know what, let me hit this one instead. Alright, so let's go in with... let's just do like an HP attack right here. So now he's going to trigger first strike twice. So they miss. And now he uses Shadow Wolf. So just like that. Another interesting thing about Kelger is that he can actually solo some content. If I remember correctly, I think I saw like... Well, actually, yeah, you can just like YouTube it as well. Just look up any sort of like Kelger solo. And he can solo his own Shinryu. And he can also... solo some Spiritus as well, which is pretty cool. Alright, I think this should kill him. Never mind, it didn't. What do I want to hit you with? So as for my opinion on Kelger, well, like I mentioned, I don't really use him that much because there's like other DPS characters that I would use for him, or instead of him, or like other evasion or like counter off-turn damage characters. But overall, he's a pretty fun character, and as I mentioned, you can even solo some Shinryu with him, and even some Spiritus. So that is going to be it for this video. Thank you guys very much for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. Let me know if you will be pulling for Kelger, and I will see you all in my next video.